What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? It's Monday, which means another all-chiefed up podcast for that ass. And today, we're talking about rookie tight end Darnell Washington of the Pittsburgh Steelers not putting Travis Kelce on his top 5 tight end list, confirming he's on the drugs. So we're going to talk about all that and more. Stick around.
Chiefs Kingdom. It's time for All Chiefed Up with your hosts, Steve and Mike Williams. From the Bluegrass to the Red Sea, this is the Kingdom's Podcast.
What is happening, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to All Chiefed Up. We hope you're having a lovely Monday. Hopefully you're not working, but we bet you are. Hopefully we can make it a little better and just talk about some Chiefs football, Mike. So the top story that really stuck out to me this week, Mike, was Darnell Washington, the rookie tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was getting interviewed. I don't even know what he was on. That's how much I care. But they asked him who his top 5 tight ends were.
Right.
And he didn't list Travis Kelce. And he had it wasn't negative things to say, but they were kind of backhanded comments, kind of discounting Travis Kelce as even a tight end. What'd you think about it?
Yeah. Darnell, he was drafted number 93 overall. We were like, why is this guy falling down the board?
I know.
Obviously, he was on the weed, Steve.
That's what it was.
The weed.
Lay off the weed, Darnell. No, for real, though. That's probably why you fell almost to the 4th round, is because during your interviews with the teams, they probably asked him something to that effect. And when he didn't say Travis Kelce, they're like, well, this guy's IQ level is plummeting.
Right.
Like something's wrong with his brain, so let's pass.
You want to hear those top 5 tight ends that he put above Travis Kelce?
Yeah, let's hear it.
George Kittle, Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, Zach Ertz, and his teammate Pat Freiermuth.
All right, so I have a question. If you're gonna call Travis Kelce a wide receiver and not a tight end, but then turn around and say you like Darren Waller's game, I mean, I can't take you seriously. You're just out of your mind.
Right. Well, I went and looked it up. I had to see what says you're a tight end. What says you're a wide receiver? I did slot snaps. I thought maybe from the slot. You know, tight ends don't conventionally play the slot. Darren Waller didn't play a lot of slot snaps. Okay, so I'll give him that one. But if you look down the list, Zach Ertz did. Travis Kelce played 258 slot snaps this season, Steve. He had 110 receptions, 1,338 yards, and 12 TDs. Destroyed every tight end, every wide receiver in this league. Travis Kelce is the most productive man in the NFL when it comes to catching the football.
Absolutely.
If you compare that to Zach Ertz, in 2022, Zach Ertz took 232 slot snaps. That is only about 26 less. In 2021, he took 248 slot snaps, and all the way back in 2019, he took 267 snaps from the slot, which is more. That's 9 more than Kelce took this year. So if you're going to say Zach Ertz is a conventional tight end and not Travis Kelce because he takes, slap, snuts, I can't even talk, slot snaps.
Slap nuts.
Yeah, Slap Nuts. That's what we're going to have to call Darren Waller. That might be his new nickname, Slap Nut. Because this guy, he needs to go back.
Darnell Washington. Yeah, he's a slap nut. Man, I mean, seriously, though, if you're a tight end and you don't slightly model yourself after Travis Kelce these days, you're doing yourself and the league a disservice because Travis Kelce has reinvented the tight end position. Yeah, it's still important to have that, the blocking and things like that, because Travis Kelce can do that as well. That's another thing. People always discount him as not being a blocking tight end. Travis Kelce is a great blocking tight end. I wouldn't put him up there with like George Kittle as far as that goes, but I mean, he's not bad. And I just don't understand. I feel like there has to be some kind of like personal thing there. Like he just doesn't like him for some reason or another, whether maybe he's a Buffalo Bills fan, or maybe he's a Bengals fan or something like that at heart. Who knows?
Who knows? But he puts Pat Freiermuth on there. Well, that's only because he's in Pittsburgh. So you can pretty much take that one off.
Can you imagine saying with a straight face that Pat Freiermuth is better than Travis Kelce?
That's stupid. That's the stupidest thing. Again, another reason why this guy fell to 93rd overall. George Kittle over Kelce is ridiculous. George Kittle's not better. This argument tries to come up every season. And every
one's better.
George Kittle plays 3 games, and he's out. Darren Waller is not better than Travis Kelce. He's just not.
No. Same way. George Kittle's better than Darren Waller. I mean, it's the same situation. with him and the injuries, he's just not as good as George Kittle.
Zach Ertz is not better. Zach Ertz is a dynamic tight end. Don't get me wrong. He'd be nice in this. If we didn't have a Travis Kelce and we had a Zach Ertz, he would succeed.
Am I wrong to say that Zach Ertz is kind of like you've seen him take a step back as opposed to Kelce, who just keeps getting better and better? And they came out the same year, right?
Similar. Well, Zach Ertz is now with who is it? He's with
Arizona.
Kyler Murray. Come on now. Yeah, the Kyler Murray to Patrick Mahomes.
Well, I mean,
pretty low.
Even Philadelphia knew Dallas Goedert was better. So I mean, that's why they moved on from him. So I don't know. I just don't understand this one. And then, of course, I think Mark Andrews was mentioned in this conversation as well. That's been a big one lately for like the last year or two by mainly people that only know football by fantasy football who tend to think Mark Andrews is the best tight end in the league. Absurd. Absolutely crazy. I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, he's not even in the same stratosphere as Kelce.
No. Mark Andrews, he's a product of Lamar Jackson running first and just having to have play designs that just throw the tight end wide open. Like every time you see Mark Andrews, it's just a blown coverage. It's just a very good a scheme by the offense coordinator there with the tight ends. And, of course, Lamar Jackson's not looking to throw the ball over 8 to 15 yards ever. So it makes sense that Mark Andrews would be there. Mark Andrews is a good tight end. George Kittle's a good tight end. Darren Waller is a decent tight end.
Right.
Zach
I think he's overrated.
I think if I had, obviously on this list, Kelce beats all of them, and then after that, I'm going to go probably Mark Andrews might be my number 1, and then I would give Kittle number 2, and then Ertz 3 and Waller 4, and Freiermuth obviously gets the 5th slot right there.
I wouldn't even have most of these guys on my list. Like I just mentioned one that's better than a lot of these guys, Dallas Goedert with the Eagles. And I feel like he's an underrated tight end. I think he's really good.
I think
there's some out there.
Will be up here pretty soon.
Greg Dulcich will be up there pretty soon. Give it time. He looked amazing in his rookie year, and he was dealing with crappy Russell Wilson. I mean, talk about slap nuts. Imagine if he was your quarterback and you still managed to look good. He was the only bright spot on that garbage, that dumpster fire of a team last year. So
if I had to play for Russell Wilson, I would just retire. Like, and that's horrible.
And Zach Ertz, like you said, he's in Arizona now. I don't think it'll be long before Trey McBride gets that number 1 spot there because he's sitting there waiting for it. And I mean, he's going to be good too. He's slightly like George Kittle. So, I mean, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be really good as well. Then we got Dalton Kincaid coming in with Buffalo. That's a good match for him. I mean, a team that loves throwing the ball. And I mean, you see what Dawson Knox is able to do there receiving. So imagine what Dalton Kincaid will be able to do.
Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. All these dolls.
Yeah, I almost did it too.
That's going to be a good 1-2 punch, I do believe. Josh Allen just needs help. That's a stupid thing to say in a way of like, oh, Josh Allen. I just don't think Josh Allen can put a team on his back and carry him. He needs help. I really do. I don't.
Right. I mean, that's the difference between him and Patrick Mahomes, right?
Right.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes transcends who's around him. He makes people better. I mean, he made Albert Wilson look like a really good receiver and got him a contract and got him
paid.
Like, think about that. Do you think that Josh Allen could? I mean, here, for instance, look at Isaiah McKenzie. Like, if Patrick Mahomes had him, he would make him just as good as Albert Wilson, right? But, I mean, this guy fell off the face of the planet in Buffalo. He didn't do nothing. So, I mean, there's your difference. Yeah. I think that's it, though. I mean, Josh Allen needs his help. But the tight end thing, man, it's just silly to me because, I mean, when you're talking, obviously he said Gronkowski, right? That had to be his number 1. That's what every goofy guy says, right? Or was he doing? Was he doing
current? He's not doing
current. Okay.
Surely not in history. You can't put Pat Freiermuth.
Would you put it past this guy?
I mean, obviously he's sucking up to his teammate there. I'll give him that one. That's a pass.
Okay. But anyway, like I was saying, what I was going to say is Travis Kelce's in the GOAT conversation, right? He's the greatest tight end to ever play the game. He's up there with Rob Gronkowski and Tony Gonzalez and those guys like that.
Right. We already talked about it. He's going to beat all of Tony Gonzalez's Chief records this year.
Exactly. And he's hands down going to be the best tight end to ever play the game. Just end of story. There's no way around it. Travis Kelce is the GOAT tight end, and you left him off your list. I mean, you're just discredited altogether. That's why Darnell Washington fell to the 4th round, because they were worried about his mental capability.
Hey, lay off the weed.
Stay off the weed, man.
Darnell, go away. Okay, Darnell didn't start off the NFL so hot, Steve, but Felix Anudike-Uzomah, he has signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's done. We said this on the last podcast. The Chiefs had just signed all the rookies but him and Rashee Rice, and we actually said, look for Felix to sign probably in the next few days. He did, and we said Rashee Rice will be the last one to sign because wide receivers are a bunch of divas, and they just, it
takes longer. It always takes longer.
Yeah. I mean, they got to keep the center of attention on them. That's what they do. That's what ththese guys do, these pretty boys.
Pretty boys.
Those. But yeah, Felix finally signed, Steve. It was about $11 million, I think.
11.9, I think.
Yeah, he's ready to go. Felix. What do you think Felix is going to do this year, Steve? What do you think this entire defensive line is going to do? Is Felix enough that amps this pass rush up to the next level, or are we still going to hurt a little bit?
I think it's going to help tremendously. We were talking about this on a live stream on YouTube yesterday, actually. I feel like if there's anything that I would want to improve on the team, it might be some help at pass rushing on the edge there. But is it necessary? I don't think so. It's kind of like the wide receiver thing. You could use a vet. You can use somebody to help, but you don't have to have it. But no, I think Felix, he offers you a lot of different things than the normal, typical Steve Spagnuolo defensive end. He's not just your edge setter. He's not the typical prototype Steve Spagnuolo defensive end. He's more bendy, probably the most bendy defensive end we've had in a long time. And just super athletic, fast, and I think he's going to offer you some different things. And the thing about it is, well, how many snaps is he going to get? Because George Karlaftis and Charles Omenihu are going to be getting probably a good bulk of the snaps. But Felix, it's going to be one of those situational things, right? When you're all out rushing that passer, Felix is coming in the game, man. He can pin his ears back and get after the passer.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be beneficial to him. I'm looking at 8 sacks. That's where my mark is for him in his rookie season. And I think that he's going to be good, man. And just being in behind people like George Karlaftis, who has a great work ethic and wants to do well, I think that kind of stuff's contagious. Right. And I think that he's going to do just fine, man.
Well, I said Charles Omenihu was a signing that Brett Veach should make, and they did it. And right. I like that signing. I think he kicks inside next to Chris Jones. We drafted Keandre Coburn, which a lot of Chiefs Kingdom is finally coming around to that. And they're like, hey, This guy's going to free up some space. He's going to eat some double teams. I think he's going to help George Karlaftis a lot getting after the quarterbacks. I believe Karlaftis can replicate his numbers, if not go further this year. I believe this could help Chris Jones stay elite. Obviously, he don't need help, but this is just going to be an added bonus. The big thing to me is getting Turk Wharton back healthy on this line. I think Turk Wharton can make this defensive line go from about a 6 out of 10 to about a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. And then depending on how these rookies come in and do, you said Felix 8 is your sacks. I think Felix's floor is somewhere around 3 to 4 sacks. And because the reason I say that is because he's not overly explosive the same way as George Karlaftis. He can get after the quarterback, but I don't see that elite speed that comes around the edge. I don't see the Bosa type speed to close. He's very bull rush oriented and he's hard nosed. He's got that motor. He's almost George Karlaftis again. And you've seen George Karlaftis. He'd had 12, 13, 14 sacks if he just could have made up that 2 inches. So to me, Felix, and this is where me and you disagree on Felix, I think Felix's ceiling is about 8 sacks this year. You think Felix could get up to 10 or 11 possibly?
I think 10. I think around double digits is his ceiling. And my thing about you comparing him a little bit to Karlaftis, I don't agree with that. I don't think they're anything similar other than they start with the bull rush. But I mean, I think that Felix is a more polished pass rusher than Karlaftis was coming out. I think he's got a bigger arsenal. He has way more moves. He's way more athletic. I think it's a different type of guy. I don't think I can put him in that box.
Well, yeah, I agree. They're totally different. But I was kind of pacing off the bull rush. When the bull rush is what you have to revolve around. Now, I will say Felix is a lot better of an athlete. He's a way better athlete than George Karlaftis. I don't have to get into all the specifics, but yeah, like you said, he's more bendy. I think he has more natural know-how of when to do certain moves and when to execute certain moves. I believe George Karlaftis, he's not as bendy, and he doesn't have that natural pass rush.
Yeah,
instinct.
dude, nail on the head right there. I mean, that's what I see with Felix, and I don't mean to interrupt, but that's what I see with Felix. You hit it. It's like a natural thing to him. I feel like it comes natural to him to rush the passer and get after the passer. That is just what he's all about, and it's like it just comes second nature to this guy.
Well, this is what may hurt him and what helped George. We had that guy in Frank Clark that was here and mentored him, put him under his wing, worked with him after practice. Felix isn't going to get that luxury. He don't have that guy.
Maybe.
He's got Charles Omenihu. That's
not out of the question yet.
Well, yeah, Frank could be coming back, I guess. Dunlap could possibly come back again. I don't know. Maybe
Man, would you just retire if you were Carlos Dunlap? I think I would just get right out on top. I'd pull a Peyton Manning on everybody. Like, I just won the Super Bowl. I'm done.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think Felix is going to have a pretty good year. I'm glad he signed. I'm definitely glad he's in here, which we didn't think he was going to hold out or anything. That's insanity, but
right.
Kind of for about the same as George Karlaftis. I think he produces about as well as George Karlaftis. Then again, George had a better chance to get out and produce last year, whereas we're a little deeper this year. Maybe it's going to be harder to find snaps for him.
Possibly,
yeah.
Possibility.
So, yeah, Felix is in KC.
Before we move on, do you think that there's any chance that George Karlaftis regresses this year and has a sophomore slump? Because I personally don't. I think he's too much of a worker. I think he works too hard. I think he's going to keep building on what he did his rookie year. But do you think that that's a possibility that he could slump a little?
It's always a possibility you got that sophomore slump. And I tell you why. It's because you got a full year on film. They know how to game plan for you. They know your strengths and your weaknesses now. They know what they need to do. Do they need to chip him more in certain situations? Do they need to make sure he's getting an extra little double team? Can tackles pick up on certain things that he's doing? Is he giving away his bull rush? Is he giving away his spin move? What's he doing? I think there's always that, in the back of all these guys coming into their second year, and that is one thing that could do it. But based off just pure George Karlaftis, he is going to prevent himself from going forward. I don't think anybody else will. It's all going to be on George. If he wants to keep working and getting better, I think he's good, and I think he's going to, to get better this year. I think he's going to have double-digit sacks this year. Did he get double-digit last year? Or was he?
I think so. I think he was around that 8 mark. I don't know. I'd have to look at it real quick. I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, will you just kind of expand that out to all the rookies? I was kind of thinking about it in our rookie class from last year. Not talking about Felix, and I'm talking about last season's draft class. I was kind of looking at each one individually, and I don't feel like any of them won't progress this year. I think every daggone one of them were good enough and showed you enough in their rookie season that you can kind of feel confident that they're going to keep building on it. I don't feel like any of them are going to have like a big slump, like a sophomore slump per se. Is there any of the rookies from last season, any of those guys going into their second year that you think could possibly not, I kind of want to expand it all out to the whole team because I feel like that last year's draft class, I feel like they're solid, man. And I feel good about even Brian Cook stepping up and doing even better this year, and Leo and all the guys, Sky Moore. I mean, what do you think?
I think Leo does better this year. I think Brian Cook gets better this year. I think George Karlaftis will actually be just as good or better. Sky Moore for sure is going to have a better year.
And the corners, Josh Williams and Jalen Watson, I feel like
those are the
two guys
better that I could be concerned about. And the only reason is because both of them had to play, just throw right into the fire last year. They had to have short memories. They had to get out there and do it. The thing about it is now that they have some film, now these crafty wide receivers can be like, hey, Josh Williams likes to, keep his feet a little flat in his transition. Maybe I can beat that. Jalen Watson, doesn't break a little bit, or he bites a little too much. I can beat him on double moves. You may start seeing these guys get picked on a little bit on the back end because they've got some. Corner is one of those things where you can be in the league 4 years and people can tear you apart. You could be Darrelle Revis and go out there and get burned for 3 straight weeks.
That's a tough job.
Yes, corner is tough. I think it's the toughest to translate from the college to the NFL level.
Well,
and that's what I see. I can see those two maybe having some moments.
Every rule in the league is weighted towards the offense, right? So, I mean, you're already at a disadvantage being a defender. And then you got the toughest job there is. And then you got people like Jamar Chase that'll just shove you out of the way illegally and not get called. I mean, it's just all kinds of stuff that goes into that.
Guys are both physical. They're both physical. And if these wide receivers can find ways to get in on them and make them grab or hold or something like that, you might have more of like a Fenton situation, which we all somewhat thought Fenton was good, but how many times did Fenton just grab, hold?
Yeah, I mean, that was his thing, man.
Drives. So, see, to me, the corners might be it. Now, I do think Trent McDuffie will have a better season.
Yeah.
That's almost impossible to say because he had a heck of
man. Trent McDuffie is that guy, man. Like, he's going to be one of the best corners in the league. I just have all the faith in the world in that. But with these two corners, Mike, I know that people have more tape on them and they can, use it against them, right? But, yeah. I mean, the way that Spags had these guys ready to go and the way that the DB coaches had these guys ready to go in their rookie season, you don't think that they could still be a step ahead, do you? I mean, I think that they're going to have these guys fully prepared for what's going to get thrown at them.
I think they'll do okay. I'm not saying they're going to be horrible all season. I'm just saying you may see those stretches. You may see a few weeks where it's like Josh Williams.
Yeah, well, that happens. That happens to the best of the best corners, right? Sometimes you can't win for losing.
But I believe they're both good enough. They're both good enough that they'll work through all the downs in the season. There's always ups and downs, ebbs and flows through every season. It's a long season, man. The NFL just keeps making it longer and longer. So you got to have short memories. You got to be confident to play the corner position. You really do. You got to have some swag about you. You got to have some confidence. You got to be downright cocky. And that's one thing I see from those guys is the one thing that impressed me last year out of everybody was the time that Josh Williams come in. He struggled. I believe it was against the Bengals.
They were picking on him.
And he was one of the only guys that come out and was like, look, I got to do better. I'm not doing this. He didn't get on Twitter and make excuses.
Yeah, that was the game that won. Thornhill and Colin Saunders were all in there asking for sympathy, basically. Like, we tried really hard, guys. We tried really hard. We won you a Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Right.
Like, please.
You had the rookie. The rookie got on there was like, look, I played like crap. I didn't have it today. I'm going to get better for you guys. And, that's what it takes. And
you find it funny that the two guys that did that are gone? Like, I feel like we weren't the only ones that noticed that crap. I feel like, we not the coaching staff, but
how many we done on our YouTube channel and our
you're not real fans. You need to support the guys no matter what. Well, Guess what? When they go out there and put up a lackluster effort, I don't have time for it. Dude, you're getting paid the big bucks. You're representing the Kansas City Chiefs. Get your ass in gear.
Yeah,
you
man up. You don't get out here and cry about it and ask fans to give you a break. Shut up.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
You make more than these fans. These fans just spent their whole paycheck to watch you for a week go out there and half-ass it. Like,
and what was the response? Your mom.
I'm glad. Where's he at?
Fat Colin Saunders. Yeah. Have fun down there, buddy.
Dude, you do that to those fans in New Orleans, they'll whoop that ass.
Hey, let me go ahead and say this. I do like Colin Saunders. Yeah, I think he was awesome for the locker room. I think he was a funny guy, and he actually had a pretty good year last year. But I just don't have time for that kind of stuff.
Well, it was that. That's what it is. I don't want the whining. I mean, you seen it with Tyrann Mathieu when he struggled. He didn't want to hit nobody. Right. He didn't even want to be here, I don't think.
And where do you think Juan Thornhill learned it from?
Is it funny that all these guys, when they get to a point in their career, like that's what surprised me because Colin Saunders actually had a better year and he was actually playing more and looking a lot better, and then he's going to get on there and kind of use that like victim mentality. Get over it.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Okay. Well, moving on, man. We've been talking about rookies. This is a little more funny, comical. Did you happen to see any video footage of tiny Bryce Young down there in Carolina, dude? Like, was that not the funniest thing you've ever seen?
I saw a picture of him in the huddle, and it looked like, I think the quote that was with it was something about the Make-A-Wish kid playing for Carolina Panthers, which is terrible. But at the same time, that's really what it looked like. And you know what I think? Like, I didn't really think about it until I seen it. But I think Carolina may have got themselves in a bit of an Arizona Kyler Murray situation. I think you got a guy that's got all the talent in the world, got arm talent, and can do a lot of things, but sometimes it don't matter if you can't see over your offensive line. And I feel like it's going to be just like that, man.
Look, I had Bryce Young as my number one quarterback. When you see him next to these guys, though, you're like, my God, he's going to get walloped.
I had him as my number one as well, but I think when I seen it with my own eye, I was like, of course I watched his tape. I watched his tape, and it never really sunk in his college tape. But when I saw that, I'm just like, dude, that's a problem.
The huddle, and you could not see this dude.
That's a problem.
How's he going to see over the top of them? And then, I don't know, it's just hilarious. Somebody said it looked like the coach's son was out there running practice drills with the team before the actual team got out there. But I'm telling you, apparently Anthony Richardson is up here like making waves in Indianapolis. Like they absolutely love this kid. And that was one that me and you both said, hey, he may be the best one in 5 years if you're patient with him. Honestly, he may get there faster in 5 years. I think Anthony Richardson should have been the number one overall pick because, dude, I don't know. There's something about Anthony Richardson. I believe he can make all the throws and he's athletic and he can see over the huddle.
It really depends on how he develops that arm strength and his arm talent. Like how does he utilize it, right? Because I feel like he could be a Lamar Jackson. That could be what you're looking at with him. He might not be the guy that's going to make these perfect throws. Every once in a while, he'll drop a dime on you. But, I mean, for the most part, you're just worried about his legs and his athleticism. That's kind of how I see Anthony Richardson. But could he be more than that? Yes, absolutely, 100%. And would I have took that shot as opposed to taking Bryce Young? I believe I would have, in retrospect. I really do. Did you see where Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football that you have like the tiers of quarterbacks?
Yeah, I've got that right here.
So, you know what really blew my mind when I looked at that was in his final tier, I think he only put like 15 quarterbacks on their total. And in his final tier, he had Will Levis, Bryce Young, and Anthony Richardson on there. Am I correct?
No, he had C.J. Stroud, Levis, and Richardson. It was only an AFC. There was no NFC quarterbacks. This was an AFC list.
I got you. So, okay, that makes sense then. I thought it was an NFL list. And I was getting ready to be like, who are the 15 starting quarterbacks that he put the 3 rookies above?
Right. Well, I was going down the list, and I was like, Jalen Hurts, bro. And then I was like, oh, this is for just the AFC. But yeah, so speaking of it, Steve's talking about a list. NFL Network's Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football, he released a tier list. They do this every offseason. We actually talked about this one the other day. They were naming them by conference, and they rated the AFC North and the East above.
They messed it up either way.
Ridiculous. Yeah, they botched it big time. But Kyle Brandt, he comes out and releases a tier list. He learns from the mistakes. And tier 1 and only tier 1 had one quarterback, and that was Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick LeVon Mahomes, baby.
MV Pat, as it should be.
Right.
So that's fine. In tier 2, he had Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. And I honestly think that's a number 2 tier. I mean, that has to be in the AFC. It just has to.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I guess so. I think Burrow's better than Josh Allen. I do. As much as I don't like the guy, I still think he's a better quarterback than Allen. Allen's just a choker, bro. Like,
so are you just going to put Burrow in tier 2 and put Allen in tier 3?
Who else is in tier 3?
Well, tier 3, I was getting ready to read it. He's got now Aaron Rodgers. He has Lamar Jackson, and he has Justin Herbert.
I would put him in tier 3 with those guys. I feel like that's more his level.
So you think Patrick should have tier 1 by himself, Burrow should have tier 2 by himself, and then you're going to put Allen, Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert in tier 3.
The only thing I don't like about putting Burrow there is because a lot of it's projection. I mean, he did get his team to the Super Bowl just a year ago. But, I mean, does the guy even have a winning record yet as an NFL quarterback? I don't even know. So there's a lot of projection there, and he does have a lot of help. He's got the best wide receiver crew in football.
Well, that's where he messes up. I'm just going to tell you right now, tier 4 is where he drops the ball here.
What do we got? Russell
Wilson and Whacker Watson from up in Cleveland. That's it. That's tier 4.
Whacker? How's Whacker still even a thing? Like,
yeah. This dude, okay, like we've already talked about it. He's been milked. This dude's done.
Drained, over with. You know what? That's a thing.
Getting back to even close to what he was.
Do I think he could? Yeah. I do think Deshaun Watson was a really good quarterback. He was just one of those guys. He's pretty solid, and he was just a proven winner, right? Like all through college and everything. He was just that guy. And I do think that he has it in him. Will he get back to what he was? Yeah, I think he could. Because, I mean, really, what was he? He was a really good quarterback, but he played for the Texans. They didn't win anything. He got them to the playoffs, though. Do I think he can get the Browns to the playoffs? Yeah, I do.
At least he could put up some stats. He can't even do that anymore.
Well, I mean, he only played half a season last year, and I mean, he's in a new offense. So, and he, like you said, he's been drained and milked and everything else. The guy was a little tired last year. Maybe he stayed out of the spalls and got some rest this offseason.
Let's hope. He looks horrible, by the way. I seen a picture of him. The dude looks
with
like
a trucker hat.
Yeah, like the dude looks like he's like 70 years old, like a mechanic that lives in like Caneyville.
Like a truck driver.
Yeah, this like really creepy spot, like 30 miles.
He gets on the CV. He's like, getting off this exit for a massage. Whacker 110 out. 10-4, good buddy.
He's like, Whacker 110, come on in, Whacker 110. He said, still getting whacked. Can't do it. Okay, anyway. So tier 5, Jimmy Garoppolo, all by his lonesome. And have you noticed there's a couple quarterbacks in the AFC, he don't even have the top 5 tiers.
There's one that I already know is missing.
3.
There's one that I already know is missing off the top of my head. That's Trevor Lawrence. Like, where the heck is he at? And why in the world would you have Jimmy Garoppolo over him? I understand Jimmy Garoppolo got to the Super Bowl with the 49ers, but he's still Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is on a different, I don't know.
Okay, so in tier 6, Kenny Pickett, Mac Jones, Tua, and Trevor Lawrence. And then tier 7, Stroud, Levis, and Richardson. This is the question I want to ask you, because hey, he dropped the ball there. If Patrick Mahomes was on the NFL, if you could not have this guy, out of every one of those quarterbacks, who would you want the Chiefs to have?
Joe Burrow.
So
as much as I hate to say it.
Would be your number 2.
Yeah, I think so.
So Burrow's
or Trevor.
That's kind of my thing. I think Trevor Lawrence should be in tier 3. I would almost knock Lamar or even Aaron Rodgers out of tier 3 for Trevor Lawrence because
it's tough, right? Because, I mean, obviously those guys are more proven than Trevor.
But look at the future going forward.
Yeah.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers winning another Super Bowl? He's going to end his career with 1.
Right.
Lamar's not going to win 1. I don't think Lamar will get 1. So
Lamar's, first of all, he should have got the heck out of Dodge. Like, I know he just wanted a bunch of money, but he should have got away from Baltimore because they're never going to quit running the wing T high school offense where it's just run the ball, Lamar, and then we're going to run it with our running back 85 times. Like, he's got to get away from Harbaugh and that mess. But he didn't do it. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. I think I would take Trevor Lawrence. Now, that's the thing, though. Like, if you really think about it, could you imagine Lamar Jackson and Andy Reid's offense? It wouldn't be bad. Like, we've watched Lamar since he was in college. Kid can play.
It wouldn't be bad, but he's not going to sit in the pocket, and he's not going to just throw dimes. Like, he's not going to do it. And
no,
have to? No, he can almost play the Alex Smith role, the dink, dunk, and get out of the pocket when he needs to.
Only he'd be way more explosive and dangerous in the running game.
But you know what Lamar should have done? He should have got out of the AFC. He should.
Yeah,
I think so. Hot take or whatever, but the NFC is trash when it comes to good quarterbacks. You have maybe Dak Prescott as an upper tier quarterback, and then
he's not. And
maybe Jalen Hurts. He's done it for 1 year. We'll see what his career looks like. But if Lamar would have went to somewhere like maybe Lamar goes to Washington and plays with Bieniemy, and you have Terry McLaurin, and
that would have been nasty.
Right. I think he would. You had a better chance of winning in the NFC over the AFC, and you don't have to go through Mahomes and Herbert and Trevor Lawrence and Tua and now Aaron Rodgers. You can get out of this. Like, why do you keep wanting to? I know that these guys have inflated egos, but do what's smart for your career. And if you're not an elite level quarterback, which I know Lamar Jackson is not, get out. Go to the NFC and become an elite level quarterback. He would have a field day if he had went to Tampa.
Totally agree. I do think Washington would have been a great landing spot for him. Yeah. Hey, back to that list though. I know you were probably thinking when you said that there were 2 that you were thinking Tua and Trevor, but I'm sitting here debating with myself. Would I rather have Jimmy Garoppolo or Tua? That's a sad question. You know, it's sad that I have to ask myself that, but that's a legitimate question.
Garoppolo, neither one of them could you probably count on to finish a full season. But I think to run the Chiefs offense, I'd rather have Tua. I do think Tua is more capable than Jimmy. Jimmy gives you a little more stability, I believe. But if you want a chance to win, I think Tua is like your higher ceiling. I will say Tua should have been above Russell Wilson and Wacker in Cleveland. I would gladly take Tua all day long over Russell Wilson, whose career is over, and Watson, who
I don't agree with you. I would take him over Russ right now, but I would take Deshaun Watson before I would take Tua.
You mean to tell me if Patrick Mahomes did not exist and they were like, look, you can have Tua or Deshaun Watson.
If he could keep it in his pants, not be out there trying to get everybody in the world to touch it,
he can.
I would take him. Look, if you take that away from it and you're just going by strictly quarterback play, I'm taking him over Tua.
Have you
all
seen
day.
This guy lately? He looks like he has some kind of disease.
I'm just saying, if we're stripping away the fact that he looks like he might have a disease and the fact that he loves going and getting whacked at the massage parlor, if you take that all away, I'm taking his quarterback ability above Tua's. That's just me.
look, he kind of looks like Bryce Young if Bryce Young just got like 4 inches taller.
If he grew up. If Bryce Young grew up, he could be a Deshaun Watson. Do you think he aspires to be a whacker when he grows
I'm
up?
just saying, they're so tiny. And you know Deshaun Watson, man. You know him. Like, he looks like I said, he looks like he's not eaten in 6 months. I think these lawsuits are killing him. But straight up, this dude looks like he's just ribs and penis at this point. Like, this dude, he's just a walking rib with a dong. And
My God, he's a tripod.
That thing's getting milked, by the way. So, of course, the penis is bulged. But this guy sucks. I'm taking Tua all day over him. I don't know. Tua might have a big old head that keeps getting slammed on the ground, but, I mean, come on.
I just can't imagine having to watch that ugly throw all the time. It makes me sick when I see him throw the football. I ain't gonna lie. It's like a thing. It's so hideous.
Would it sweeten the pot if I told you could bring over Mike McDaniels as a coach?
Yeah, I'd take that.
Oh, yeah. Mike McDaniels is
Man,
hilarious.
first of all, don't get me wrong. It's kind of a double-edged sword with Mike McDaniels. Like, dude's a Shana Rat descendant. So I don't like that about him. Don't like that about him. But he is freaking hilarious. And, I mean, obviously, and yeah, he's a cartoon character. And it's like somebody wakes up every morning and draws this guy. Like, he's a straight cartoon character. But, like, I think he's hilarious, and I think he's a good coach. I really do.
Hey, we're going to see how good of a coach he is because they're loading him up. I mean, look, they pretty much abandoned all NFL draft picks, and they're just out here trading for everybody under the sun. They traded for Bradley Chubb and.
Okay, so if Patrick Mahomes didn't exist, and I could take Mike McDaniels as the OC with Tua, and still have Andy Reid as the head coach, I would take that deal.
So you would kick Nagy out just to have those two?
No. I wouldn't do that.
You know,
but I'm just saying.
I'm going to tell you right now, it wouldn't even be Burrow. I like Joe Burrow as a quarterback.
Justin Herbert?
Yes, I think I would take Justin Herbert with our offense and our offensive coordinator, and I think Justin Herbert in Kansas City wins 3 or 4 rings.
Possibly, but you know what I like better about Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow's got the same thing I was talking about with Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. Like, the dude just knows how to win. I mean, that's what he's been doing since day one.
He's been winning since those dudes broke in his house. And he threw the paint can down the stairs. This dude hasn't took an L in a
He
long
beat
time.
the freaking wet bandits. He can beat whoever. Except for the Chiefs, bro.
He took an L in Arrowhead.
The Chiefs in the playoffs.
I tell you, I mean, I don't dislike Joe Burrow. The thing I like about Burrow is that he's confident, and it's a quiet confidence. Like, when he takes the field, he knows what he wants to do. He knows what he needs to accomplish, and he does it. And he does it quietly, confidently, and he's just, I would trust him. I think that's what Bengals fans, since they're so stupid, they can't say anything but who dey. I think what they try to say when they compare him to Mahomes and stuff, and they just can't articulate it because their brains are peeved. Yeah, they can't do it. But I think what they want to say is that they just feel like they trust him. The way we do.
Right.
When we're down,
comfortable.
We don't panic. We have that Patrick Mahomes vibe rolling. And I think they got that with Joe Burrow, and I think that's what Joe Burrow brings. And I like him. I can't say the same with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert did blow a playoff.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Do you feel like, Justin Herbert, like if you compare him to somebody, you're thinking of more of the gunslinger type or something like that. But I feel like Joe Burrow, like, he's kind of more of the classic quarterback. Am I right? Like, if you think back to guys like Montana and players like that were just great in the pocket and only did what they had to do outside the pocket when they had to, and just usually pretty safe with the football, not throwing a lot of picks. I feel like Burrow fits into that spot. And Patrick Mahomes, the reason why he's on his own tier is because Mahomes can do that, and Mahomes can still be mobile, and he's deceptively freaking fast. Like, you see the guy walking like a grandma off of the field, so you just don't think that he's going to bust out and run for 20 or 30 yards on you. So, I mean, that's what puts Mahomes in his own tiers. He's just a freak. Yeah. Like, Mahomes is just generational talent. You're not going to match that with nobody. There's never going to be another Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
There's a lot of Joe Burrows. There's been Joe Burrows, but there's never been a Patrick Mahomes, and that's why they're not in the same tier.
Here's what I think. I think Joe Burrow mimics Tom Brady a lot.
Yeah,
it's that cool, quiet confidence where he goes on, he gets it done, he's prepared. I think he's more like Tom Brady than even Mahomes. I think Mahomes transcends Tom Brady when he can do it right. Like, is he ever going to get to the championships and stuff? Maybe not. But I think when you look at pure athlete and pure positional play, Mahomes is something that Brady was not.
Just impact on the game altogether. Like, that might ruffle some people's feathers, but Tom Brady has been impactful. I mean, so was Bill Russell. But man, Mahomes is the Michael Jordan, baby. I mean, that's what it is.
This goes into the next topic. Chat GPT. People are throwing out these Chat GPT things right now.
Where they're making lists?
Yeah. Chat GPT, they asked it, who is the most overrated player since 2015? And the big name on the list for me, and I noticed we didn't take him in this conversation, Josh Allen was number 9 as one of the most overrated players since 2015. Do you agree that Josh Allen is overrated?
Yes. 100%.
So you think coming out of Wyoming and leading the Bills back to some sort of a prominence is overrated?
I don't know.
I think a product of the media over.
That's what I was getting ready to say. It's Buffalo fans and the media that make him overrated. Because, I mean, if you just look at Josh Allen for what he's done, like you just said, hats off to the young man. Like, and Mike, you know this. I liked Josh Allen coming out of college. I kept telling everybody, like, this cat has a laser beam arm. He's huge. He can run. Like, this guy's good. You remember that. I was big on Josh Allen coming out.
You had posters on your wall. You even got a Josh Allen tattoo.
That's not true. Okay, I do. I have the it's the tramp stamp. It can't be a champ stamp though because he's a joker. But no, for real though. Like, yeah, I was big on the guy coming out, but let's just be honest here. Like, the way they hype him up, they act like he's the greatest in the game. They put him in the Mahomes conversation all the time. Bills fans say he's better than Patrick Mahomes. That's what makes him overrated. It's not necessarily that he's not been able to accomplish anything, which that's part of it too. Like, if you're going to get put in those conversations with elite quarterbacks like Patrick freaking Mahomes, then you better put up and quit choking in the playoffs.
Right. Well, ChatGPT rates number 1 most rated Sam Darnold. I'm guessing they mean coming out of college and not producing Sam Darnold. I think Darnold was taken, what was he, number 1 pick?
Yeah, the Jets, I think.
Right. And then they have Leonard Fournette, number 2. I don't think Leonard Fournette has been overrated, but then at the same time, when you look back at LSU, he was supposed to transcend running back.
He was a beast.
Like, he was supposed to be Jim Brown, part 2 recipes.
Well, let's be honest, man. Back when he was early in his career with Jacksonville, he was still nasty. I wouldn't call him overrated.
Right. I don't think I'd put him number 2.
I wouldn't even put him on that list.
Mitchell Trubisky, number 3. Coming out, yeah, you took him over Mahomes.
That was just ignorance on everybody's part.
Zeke, number 4.
That's a good one. And, you know, I think Zeke has it in him. I just think it's not going to get there. He's just never going to hit his full potential.
Number 5, Odell Beckham Jr.
That's a good one. I mean, he's one of the most overhyped players in the league, right?
Yeah.
He's a freak athlete, and we know he's amazing. He makes crazy catches and stuff like that. And I mean, look what he was doing with the Rams before he got hurt again.
Hey,
like, he was absolutely just
all winter long is knocking down doors to try to get OBJ over here.
But he's one of the most overhyped.
Number 6, Jameis Winston, famous Jameis.
Yeah. I mean, if he wouldn't have stole them crab legs, if he would have been hanging out with Whacker 110 and getting into trouble. Nah, it was some crab legs or something.
Number 7, Melvin Gordon. I don't know if I call Melvin Gordon overhyped.
I don't remember him supposedly. I don't remember hype around him, to be honest. Like, I remember him being a decent running back with San Diego. But
yeah, and he was okay. Amari Cooper at number 8.
Yeah.
Josh Allen at 9. Todd Gurley at number 10. I'll give you Todd Gurley. He had a couple good years, but he fell off.
Dude.
You know, Todd Gurley's not even 30 years old right now.
Right. I mean, the fact that he did fall off the map, I guess, kind of puts him in that conversation, but Todd Gurley was not overrated either. He was a monster on the field.
I think Todd Gurley just fell off. And
could you imagine prime Todd Gurley in an Andy Reid offense? That'd be sick.
Yeah, I guess so. Last thing we'll talk about today, Steve, I got to give you this one. Top 10 NFL postseason passing touchdowns all time. Tom Brady is number 1 with 88 passing touchdowns in the playoffs. That's incredible, considering number 2 is Joe Montana with 45. This dude has 43.
So he almost doubled him.
Yeah, he's got 43. Aaron Rodgers has 45. So Aaron Rodgers is tied with Joe Montana. That may stay there. I don't even know the Jets are going to get to the playoffs this year. That may stay. Brett Favre is number 4 at 44. Peyton Manning is at number 5 with 40. Drew Brees is at number 6 with 37. Roethlisberger is at number 7 with 36. And Patrick Mahomes is number 8 with 35 touchdowns. He's only 10 behind Aaron Rodgers right now to get the number 3 on the list. He can actually get the number 2 because Rodgers and Montana are at 45 each. Does Patrick Mahomes break and get the number 2 by this year, or what's the latest? Next year? I think
that's a possibility, but I think without a shadow of a doubt that if Patrick Mahomes has a good, long, healthy career, he's passing up Tom Brady's number. Like, no doubt about it.
Right. Well,
I mean, Tom Brady played for 25 freaking years, man, and he had a playoff spot handed to him every year on a pedestal. It wasn't like Patrick Mahomes where everybody was trying to do everything they could in their power during the offseason to load their teams up and take Mahomes down. This is not what was happening. Tom Brady was playing in the weakest division in the history of football, the crappiest freaking teams around him, and he was getting home field advantage in the playoffs every year, handed to him.
I'll say this. For him to get it, he's going to have deep runs, because what Mahomes is at a disadvantage, and I guess Brady had it too, which makes it really impressive. Mahomes tends to get that first-round bye, which means he loses a playoff game every year. Now, of course, he makes it up by going to the Super Bowl, so he gets that extra one. But at the same time, just consider he gets a bye, and then we was to get bounced in the next game or the game after that, and he only gets 1 to 2 playoff games for the next 3 to 4 years. And you know how it is. When we get to the playoffs, as good as Mahomes is, they don't go in there looking to pad stats by any means.
Right.
Mahomes will throw 300 yards and have 2 touchdowns, and they'll call it a day, and they'll run the ball with Jerick McKinnon 6 times. That's what they'll do. So I'm just saying, if, say, Mahomes don't get that Super Bowl run over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, if he don't get back to the Super Bowl within 3 years, it may take him 3 years to get the extra 10 to get the number 2 on the list. And then, like you said, you're still 40-some touchdowns behind Tom Brady, and he's going to be 29 or 30 at that point.
He'll get there. He's going to get there. Don't you worry your little head about that one.
I'm not. But I just know that Patrick Mahomes, for all these accolades he has and all these touchdowns and stuff, I don't think he goes out and tries to get it. I really don't. I don't think that they sit around and try to pad stats and do things like that. I still see Patrick Mahomes being that guy, and that goes back to his contract talk. If they went this whole year and didn't extend his contract, I don't think Patrick Mahomes is mad about it, and I don't think he loses any sleep over it. And, yeah, that's pretty much going to do it up for the day, though, Steve. What do you got for him?
Absolutely. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. It lets other people know that they need to be watching the Kansas City Chiefs coverage from All Chiefed Up. So hit that sub button and hit the bell. If you're listening to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on, be sure to give us a 5-star review and write some kind words on there. And that's all I got for you, Chiefs Kingdom. Mike, what you got?
Ain't got much, man. We're ready for football to get back.
I tell you what we do have. We have more sense than Darnell Washington.
We do.
Because that guy's insane.
Hey, but we got some other videos, so be on the lookout. We got some Nico Remigio. We're going to dive into his player profile. We're going to dive into Keandre Coburn, Nick Jones, B.J. Thompson, you name it. We're going through all the rookies. So be on the lookout for those videos. And again, 5-star reviews wherever you're listening. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe. We're trying to hit 10,000. That's going to be awesome. And with that being said, see you guys.
Aside from my soul.